The Big WECK presents Buffalo on the Rise, sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process. Welcome to the television show devoted to local business, Buffalo on the Rise, with your host, Joe Chili. There's an entrepreneurial spirit in Western New York that's putting our area on the cusp of greatness. Each week, Buffalo on the Rise features local business leaders and decision makers who are shaping our future. If it's about local business, we'll talk about it right here, right now, during Buffalo on the Rise.
I'm Joe Chili. On this edition of the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise, I'll introduce you to some interesting people from hometown businesses with interesting stories to tell. Like Jonathan from Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture, with alternative therapies to treat your pain. Charlie Flynn is back with more stories from his South Buffalo Hooligans book, and with the recent bitter cold, how is your furnace holding up? It might be time to get Reimer on the horn. All on this edition of the Big WECK's Buffalo on the Rise. Stay with us. I'm Joe Chili, weekday morning, 7 to 9 at Buffalo's oldie station, the Big WECK. Joining us on Buffalo on the Rise today is Jonathan McDonald from Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
It's good to be back.
Let's talk about, you've been doing this for, 20 years, 30 years, 20 years?
It's going over 25 now.
25 years?
Yeah, time flies. We've been talking a long time.
Yeah, I guess so. And, you try to keep Western New Yorkers feeling their best, living their best life, if you will, right?
Yeah.
What are the things that you're dealing with most often now?
Well, I think to summarize, if you find yourself in a situation where you have this issue, maybe you've seen, one specialist and he's kind of written you off and sent you to the next specialist. You're not my problem. You fit in this guy's box. Those are the type of people. If you're at the end of your rope, you're faced with a condition, which we could talk about the common things that come in. But if you're told, you just have to learn to live with this, there's nothing we can do for you, I do think it is worth calling us, setting up a consultation, sitting down with me so we can really see if that is the truth of it, because a lot of times you're told by Western medicine that, there's nothing else we can do for you, you just have to live with this. But we have some really great solutions.
We've talked before about chronic pain that people have. And sometimes I think when you think of chronic pain, you're thinking about something that really hurts bad. But sometimes it's just pain that's just always there. It doesn't necessarily have to be, excruciating pain. How do you deal with that with people? Will people come in and say, look, I have a shoulder that aches sometimes, or my back aches, or whatever, but not all the time? It's kind of like, when I've worked with engineers, I'll say, this isn't working. But when you came in today, it is working. You know what I mean?
I think that's a great question. Everybody's a little different. Some people might be in a great amount of pain, but subjectively they're like, yeah, it's not too bad, So I don't necessarily think that that's always the best gauge. For us at Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture, it's always very practical and very functional, right? So yes, I want to know how much pain you're in, what the pain is preventing you from doing, but more so I'm interested in what's it keeping you from doing? Is that making you bedridden? Is that preventing you from going out dancing? Is that preventing you from traveling? So that is more what we focus on is what in your life are you not able to do that this problem is holding you back? And once we get on that ground, then I can determine yep, I can get you back to playing golf. Yep, I can get you back to going on vacation. Yep, I can get you so you can go out with your friends and enjoy yourself, not worried about falling on your face or having to sit every 5 minutes, dragging everybody down. So I want to make sure that regardless of how much pain you're in, whatever your goals are for treatment, whatever you're looking to accomplish, that we can get you there.
Maybe, an individual, aside from saying that, I'm in excruciating pain all the time, they come into you and they say, I have some pain that bothers me every once in a while, but now I'm to the point that I'm taking Advil every day, multiple times a day. And I'm worried about my kidneys, or I'm worried about what kind of other effects this is going to have on my body, if it's going to affect my heart, if whatever it might be. Do you have people that come in at that point?
Absolutely. I think that's really two great points. A lot of the patients that are kind of come into us, maybe they were given kind of half a solution somewhere, take this gabapentin for the rest of your life, or take this for the rest of your life. But now they've been down that road. They've had a chance to see what those medicines can do for you. And maybe now they're starting to see the ill effects of that medication. So yes, a lot of times, often I've had patients who, have had this problem for years and then have kind of hit a wall with their medications or other therapies where now it's starting to impact other aspects of their lives and they're looking to get off this crap, right? So, and that's really, everything we do is pharmaceutical free, safe and natural medicine.
All right, and when you talk about acupuncture, because this is a mystery with people, we've talked before, joked before about ancient Chinese secret,
Right. I have a few.
But so is this something that is done exclusively when someone comes in and they've got this problem, we're going to try acupuncture, or do you do it in conjunction with other things?
Yeah, so acupuncture definitely does a lot of the heavy lifting, but the thing that makes Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture unique, and the thing that often is what can get those patients past the finish line, is we're unique in that we take this ancient time-tested medicine that is acupuncture and Chinese medicine, and we're going to seamlessly combine in more modern, integrative Western techniques or therapies. Again, pharmaceutical, safe, natural medicines, but more advanced technologies, and often combining those two is really what makes a difference for patients and gets them over the hump.
And should people worry about insurance? Is my insurance going to cover this? Is that a question?
I mean, my God, yes. Everybody that deals with insurance knows what a mess it is, right? And it changes every year. So we do our best to help patients navigate that situation. If you're someone and you're listening to me today and you kind of fall in I've been told I have to live with this, and I'm not going to stand for that anymore. But can I afford this? We're going to help you there too. The first step is to call, get that consultation. Once you and I sit down, number one, I got to determine if I can help you, right? And if I can get you where you want to go.
Right.
If I can, then I'm going to spell out very clearly what it's going to take, how long it's going to take, what coverage you might have with your particular insurance plan, what coverage you might not have, what is out of pocket. We'll do all that. But yeah, a lot of times it takes a little investigation too. There's a lot of stipulations with insurance. Hey, you have this benefit, but you got to meet all these criteria. So we just try to take all that, that fuzziness, that grayness out of that situation and make it very black and white for the patient. This is what's covered, this is what isn't. We've checked with your insurance. Based on your condition, this is what you're looking at. That way, you get 3 months or a month into treatment and you're not having the rugs pulled out of you, your insurance denied it. We eliminate all that.
All right. Starts with a phone call. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture by calling 716-632-2207 or go to bamacupuncture.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture. And don't forget to join all your favorite personalities, JP, Roger, Christian, and me on Buffalo's oldies station, the Big WECK. Hi, I'm Joe Chili, weekday mornings, 7 to 9 a.m. on the Big WECK. Joining us on today's Buffalo on the Rise is Charlie Flynn, who is the author of South Buffalo Hooligans. Charlie, do you consider yourself a hooligan?
Not now, no.
At one point in your...
Maybe in my youth.
In your past?
Maybe in my youth.
In your youth?
Maybe.
All right. I think, the book is very interesting. I was talking to you about going through some of it last night. And, there's a chapter where you talk about President John F. Kennedy's assassination. And the things that rang true in that, the fact that I was in Catholic school. I was in second grade. I think you mentioned you were in first grade when second grade. And I just remember we had to get out of school early. So we were excited about that, but didn't really understand why we had to get out of school early. The nuns at the time were like Marine drill sergeants. Excuse the expression, sisters. But, but they seemed to show very little emotion. But they were, either crying or sobbing or obviously disturbed during this day. So, I remember that, and I remember getting home. My mom wasn't home for some reason or another. My grandmother was there to kind of keep an eye on us, and she was crying. So it was so unreal to me, you know what I mean? And you kind of bring this out in the book. And I've got to give you credit. You do this in a number of instances, but that's just one instance that I think that everybody can identify with. I certainly could. And you said the book itself is a combination of facts, and some of it is, stories to get the idea across?
Well, the different characters come from a compilation of the people I grew up with, and the stories are a compilation of the stories that happened. Some of them are, I've changed them and, you know, moved them around, moved the timelines around a little bit, but it's pretty much what was going on in South Buffalo in the 60s and 70s.
So when you decided to put the audiobook out, okay, now what's the difference? I know in the audiobook, you're like a myriad of different voices. We're going to get into some of those. When you're doing the written book, is it much more difficult to get the point of the story across without using the voice?
Well, it's different because with the voice, you can do the voice inflections, you can, you know, go high and low, you can move around. You can't do that on the written page. It's different, but it's much more exciting. Maybe someday they'll invent video books, and you'll be able to actually do the, you know, the hand gestures and all the rest of the stuff with the lines. Maybe we'd start a new thing here. We'll start doing video books.
My 4-year-old granddaughter has a book where you get a pen and you touch something and it reads the story to you. So you could read the story with those inflections.
My 3-year-old grandson has one too.
Do you? See, you know exactly what we're speaking of.
Yeah.
Some of the individuals that you portray in the book. We have Sean Connery. Can you give us an idea of how he sounds in the audiobook?
Goldfinger, where do you hide your brass knuckles in that outfit?
All right. What about Richard Nixon? We all remember Richard Nixon, right?
I am not a crook.
You said that very convincingly. You know, when did you realize that you could do these different voices?
In 2nd grade.
Really?
I did every teacher every year after 2 weeks. No problem.
And of course, you never got in trouble for that.
Well, my aunt was a nun, so there was a buffer.
Your aunt was a nun. Sister Mary Charlie Flynn. Yeah. All right. What about Jimmy Stewart?
Clarence, is that you?
Clarence, you remember that? Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life. People will be watching that. You know, I want to get into some of the local characters. And you can't think about Buffalo and think about characters without Jimmy Griffin. Right?
There was 2 of them. They come through the front door and they slap my wife. They run out the back door, over the fence, and nobody saw nothing.
I remember a story about Jimmy Griffin, and he used to have a police officer that used to go around with him. And at one time, he was in a local establishment, and somebody was getting in an argument with him. And I don't know how true the story is. Jimmy Griffin proceeded to go into the restroom. This guy followed him into the restroom, okay? So Jimmy Griffin came back out, and the police officer, security guard was there, and he goes, any problem? He goes, oh, no, he's on the floor in the restroom. So I guess that kind of took care of that. Let's do maybe one more here. How about Walter Cronkite?
This is Walter Cronkite. December 7th, 1941. Will live in infamy.
Very good. Very good. How's the response been for the book so far?
The book sales were good, but the audio book sales are very good. I'm very pleased with what's happening.
Really?
Yes.
And would you like to do that again?
Another audiobook?
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to if I wrote another book.
Yeah. Well, it takes a little bit of time to do all this. I'm impressed by it, and the book itself, I can't do it justice, just to describe it, and can't do the audiobook justice, but you've given a little sample of it. So the book's available where? And the audiobook?
It's the book is available on Amazon, and the audiobook is available on Amazon and Audible.
All right.
That's what all the young people listen to now.
All right, Charlie, thank you very much. That's good. For more information or a copy of Charlie Flynn's book, go to Amazon and search for South Buffalo Hooligans. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by South Buffalo Hooligans.
And don't forget to join me weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m., the Joe and TJ Show on Buffalo's oldie station, the Big WECK.
I'm Joe Chili, weekday morning, 7 to 9 a.m. on Buffalo's oldie station, the Big WECK. Joining us on Buffalo on the Rise today is Joe Catuzza, the general manager of Reimer Home Services. Joe, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
2 JCs here, you know, that's kind of nice. We have something in common already.
Yeah.
You know, this winter, I mean, for me, somebody that's a homeowner, you know, it's just been kind of brutal. I mean, not necessarily the snow, but the cold. So what do you think of the things that people should be watching out for, especially now when you get temperatures that are in the single digits or the teens?
You want to have consistent heat in the house, so you don't want to drop. A lot of people like to drop their thermostats at night, try and keep a steady temperature because it takes a long time for the house to rebound when these temperatures are this cold. But you want to cover drafty areas in your home wherever you can. Cracks, crevices. If you do have crawl spaces, you want to make sure that they're insulated as best they can. And the biggest thing also is areas around windows, because some people have cracks open by the windows. They'll leave the window open a little bit. Areas, if you have a fireplace, you know, you'll get air coming down the flue. Make sure the dampers are closed. I mean, those are just some ways of just keeping the heat in the house.
I also saw for safety things, you should be clearing vents right outside of your home too at this time of the year. You know, we started talking before we went on the air about boilers, you know, in some of the, whether if it's just older homes or whatever. Are these kind of a thing of the past, or you still run across them all the time?
Oh no, they're very popular still, boilers. Hot water heat, they're great. It's actually the best heat. It's a more even heat and it's not as dry. However, when the temperatures get below like 10 degrees, I don't want to use the word struggle, but it's a little harder for them to keep up and maintain temperature. As soon as the temperature gets above 10, 15 degrees, I mean, they'll work as normal, but they're also going to be working. They're not going to be off long. That's the other thing. You know, we take a lot of phone calls where, hey, you know what, my unit's not turning off. I don't feel like it's heating correctly. But temperatures like this, if it does go off, your unit's only off, whether it's hot air or hot water, for only about a couple minutes at best, and then it's right back on.
What about people, if you have a boiler in your home and you hear knocking or gurgling, is that a normal thing?
Yes, it can be, but I mean, you can easily fix that with just, you know, a visit from one of our technicians where they can come and they can bleed your lines, because you want a full pipe of water. When you have air in there, you're getting that gurgling. One, it's a little bit of annoying to hear that. But two, you don't have a full pipe of water, so you're not getting 100% of the heat output that it can possibly give you.
So do people, they get concerned when they hear that maybe their boiler system is going?
Yes.
Really? And can it be? Is that like a telltale sign?
It usually isn't, but you know what? If you have a maintenance done, usually they can detect any kind of problems, you know, before it happens, actually. I mean, 80% of breakdowns are usually avoided with maintenance. If you have maintenance, I mean, you can detect a lot of little issues.
Another thing that I think is big right now, frozen pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you getting a lot of calls?
We're getting a lot of calls on the plumbing side. We're getting a lot of calls on the heating side, you know, unconditioned spaces. I mean, yeah, if you're gonna try and thaw a pipe, you know, I don't suggest anybody do that on their own. I mean, because we have some thawing machines that we can possibly, you know, go out to your home and put it on. I mean, but areas underneath homes that have unconditioned spaces, like, you know, like manufactured homes, and a lot of times it's an unconditioned space. I mean, you can do your best, but you can thaw them out, but that's not a permanent fix. You still have to have some sort of insulation on those pipes.
I've heard about wrapping pipes with towels or something like that. Do people really do that? Is that a quick fix? Is it old wives' tale?
That's just something that, you know, a homeowner can just do on their own real quick to try and take care of. You know, if you know the area where you suspect it's frozen, you can just hold a blow dryer to it, possibly to try and help freeze it. Those are just little tips that a homeowner can do without calling a professional.
But to call a professional for something like that, it's always, you know, more expedient, more cost effective than having the system go or having a burst pipe or something like that.
You're not going to avoid that. I mean, if you don't take care of the problem, that pipe, you're going to consistently get that part of the piping that's going to freeze. If you don't take care of it, like I said, like some sort of insulation on that or heat tape of some sort, that's really the only thing that's really going to help that, because like I said, tomorrow's going to be 5 degrees again. So yeah, you thaw it today, what are you going to do for tomorrow?
I see, I've got to tell you, and we talked about this off the air. Reimer is all over Western New York, but I see your trucks more than I see anybody else's.
Yeah.
And who came up with the color scheme for that? Because I think some of that is to grab people's attention.
Actually put that out to the employees. Back in 22, we were doing a rebrand on our logo, and we put it out to the employees, and we had a marketing agency, obviously help us, and came up with a few different designs, and we all went with the rhino and the colors.
And get Reimer on the horn. People, I have to tell you, when I pass by, I think some of your guys are going to be annoyed by this. Don't tell them it's me. I go by and I see get Reimer on the horn. I honk the horn.
Oh, yeah.
I go by there.
Oh,
we
get that from everybody.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We get that a lot.
All right. So what should people do? If people are having problems or they're questioning whether their heating system is right or whether they've got some problems at home, give you guys a call?
Give us a call. We'll come out. We'll do a super tune-up for you. We'll go through your system. Everything that we possibly can. If we see anything that can possibly extend the life of your unit, efficiency of your unit, we'll just go talk that over with you. And give you some options.
All right, very good, Joe. Thank you. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Reimer Home Services by calling 716-302-HORN or go to callreimer.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Reimer Home Services. And don't forget to join all of your favorite personalities, JP, Roger, Christian, Bobby O, and me, with Buffalo's Oldies on the Big WECK.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Big WECK Presents Buffalo on the Rise. For information on this and other shows, go to our website, bigweck.com, and find out how you can participate on the program if you're a hometown business. I'm Joe Chili. Thanks for watching and listening to the Big WECK, Buffalo's oldie station.
The Big WECK Presents Buffalo on the Rise was sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process.